Friends, you are in the right place. Yes, this is Healing Reflections with Dr. Pitts. But today I am your guest host, Myra Smith, and I am so honored and excited to be able to be a part of this very special 5th anniversary episode. We are interviewing today Mr. and Mrs. Pitts. We are excited because we are going to have an in-depth conversation about relationships and what got them to this point in their relationship, dating, when you're of a certain age, and all of the wonderful things that come with building a meaningful, healthy relationship. So with that said, thank you so much for tuning in. And Dr. Pitts, Eric, thank you so much for being here. I'm excited. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to interview you. I consider it a pleasure. I am sitting in this chair today not only as a podcast studio manager and a professional woman, but as a woman of a certain age, over 50. Thank you very much. And a woman who's actively dating. I have been married, so I'm a divorcee, a mother of a special needs daughter that's 28 years old. I'm now a caregiver for a parent that's 79. So life gets very complex. And so as we look at the scope of relationships, starting a relationship, thriving in a relationship, you are the person that we are coming to, Dr. Pitts. We need answers in this episode.
Yes, indeed.
So thank you both so much for being here. You guys look amazing. You make this look very easy.
That's what we keep hearing. And in a lot of ways it is. I want to, in honor of my husband and our 5th anniversary and his birthday, I am Pitts Bounds.
Pitts Bounds. Yes, thank you for the correction.
He is Eric Bounds.
I'm Pitts in spirit.
He's been saying for the past almost 11 years that he's Team Pitts. So very, very thankful for that.
Forgive me for that.
And I'm Team Bounds. And, you know, it is easy. And a lot of times when I'm doing couples work, my clients will say, Dr. Pitts, you make it look so easy, or you make it sound so easy. And I say, well, it is, you know, and there's nuances to it. And we'll get into that as we navigate this discussion. And I'll explain to the world why it's easy and how it can be easy. It has its pops where it can be challenging, but overall, I think it's easy when you choose for it to be easy, and we choose to live life easy.
So when we were doing sort of our pre-conversation, we had a very robust conversation that was absolutely amazing. You all mentioned the term reconnection. So take us back to the origin of your reconnection. Tell us more about how that happened.
Yeah, I want him to tell. Okay. Yeah, you go.
You want me to tell the story?
Absolutely. Tell your version of the story.
So my version of the story is, Lauren and I are from small town America. I recently found out that she literally lived less than 2 miles down the road from me.
Oh, wow.
But I met her in elementary school. I had come from a Catholic school to public school. I was in the 7th grade, she was in the 8th grade. And I saw this cute little young lady in a cheerleading outfit. These 2 little braids. You remember the girls had the braids? One on the side, on both sides?
Yes.
I said, she is cute. And that image never left my head. And I can't even say we were more acquaintances than friends. We knew of each other and fond of each other from afar. So went through high school. She did her thing, I did my thing. And we hadn't seen each other from high school for at least 30 plus years. Oh, wow. So Facebook gives you these people you may know.
Yeah, suggestions. Okay.
I'm in North Carolina. She's in Jacksonville at the time. I'm starting my whole life over. And I see her little face pop up. I said, Lauren Pitts. And I just sent her a friend request. I'm thinking, that's nothing, right? You send a friend request.
Right.
She immediately accepted my friend request. And so we instant messaged each other, and she gave me her number and I gave her my number. But in the message, she said, I got to give these details correctly. I'm very busy. And she said, I make time for certain people. I said, well, man, that ain't me. I'll keep the number and I'll catch up with her when I do. So she finally calls me. And what I didn't realize is how funny she is. I love comedy. I'm a clown. So we're talking and we're laughing. I'm like, man, she is really funny. Now I've rededicated my life to Christ now. I got saved in 2014. Relationship didn't work with my kid's mom. Again, I'm establishing it. So I was like, man, she's funny. But we also started talking about God. And I had never been in a relationship where God was the center. So I didn't know what that looked like. And even though we were just friends at the time, I was like, man, she is so cool. And we talk about God almost every time we're on the phone. So to make a very long story short, we never stopped talking. I just ended up talking to her on the phone coming from work. And then it was on the phone from work to coming in the house, to eating dinner, to going to bed and still being on the phone with her. And so like, I told her this. I told one of my friends that I work with in North Carolina, I said, she might be the one. He said, what? I said, yeah, she might be the one, man. I said, but she's a Cowboys fan.
Exactly.
And listen, now
Really?
I'm a die.
Exactly.
I gotta watch my pattern. I'm a diehard Eagles fan because we're from South Jersey,
Okay.
and everybody from South Jersey, Philly's right there.
Uh-huh.
So my buddy who was from Philly, even though he lived in North Carolina, he's like, oh, well, I can't do it. I couldn't do it, bro. I said, it's not that serious, right? So anyway, that's the short version of how we reconnected, and we just kept talking. So that's the short version. We got moved to Texas, we got married, and now we're celebrating our
So I think I want to definitely say to our audience members, there was something that stood out to me, and we may even want to put this up there, that
Sure.
we kept talking.
Yeah.
I think there's something very, very poignant and meaningful about that. Okay, Dr. Pitts. Now, your recollection of this reconnection, what would you like to add to this wonderful
No,
story?
he actually, you know what? He actually did a great job of laying it out. The only thing that I would add, and looking back in retrospect, it all happened the way that it was supposed to, because there were several months. We're talking on the phone, and I had suggested a FaceTime or meets called to video, and he wouldn't do it. He was like he didn't want to do any type of video call or whatever, and I was like, what's up with that? But but I didn't make a big deal out of it, and then eventually he did, and I'm going to be totally 100 transparent for the ladies. He had just come in from working out, and he used to wear this blue cutoff shirt, and I was like, oh my God, look at his arms. I tell you, I appreciate beauty, and in a good way, in a good way. And he wears a lot of pastels, and I've always had this running joke in my head that real men wear pastels, and his chocolatey fineness, and I was like, fine. But he was a really good-looking dude when we were growing up too, and just that's the superficial piece. But let's keep it real. We're visual creatures, and I'm like, Airbound, still fine. Okay.
I left that part out.
But
I did say that when I saw her.
I am.
No. I left that part out when I saw her Facebook. I was the same thing. I'm like, man, you're still on, boy.
But we just kept talking, and like he said, the conversations were just really authentic, fulfilling conversations. And at that time, I was working on my dissertation. I had finished my master's program. I was neck deep in my doctoral program. I was going through a very difficult time emotionally. And when things shifted for me, and my thought was, there could be something to this, because very much like I had zero interest in ever being married again. I would tell anybody to ask, that's not happening.
Yes.
And I was just in this really, really, really rough place emotionally and relationally. And it was one particular evening where I was just going through it, and I three-wayed him and my best friend. And he knew her from when we were kids and stuff too, and subsequently she's now married to my cousin. But I three-wayed them, and I was like, I need y'all to pray for me. When I say I was going through it, I was going through it. And I said, I need y'all to pray for me. I needed to get that spirit off of me. And he prayed the most powerful, life-transforming prayer.
Wow.
And I had never, ever had any man that I had ever dealt with in a committed relationship or at all ever pray for me. And something shifted. And it was at that point, I'm like, this is different. This is different.
And what I'm witnessing and hearing too is the vulnerability. So when you realized that this person that you've reconnected with is literally doing her dissertation and going into therapy and counseling, did that at all play a part in how did you interpret that in terms of I'm connecting with someone where having a healthy relationship is sort of their focus? Like this is, they're devoting their life work to that.
That's a really good question. For me, I will say when we first connected, because the first thing she asked me to do was look at one of her speaking engagements. This is what I've been up to. And I was like, wow. Because I knew Lauren, but I didn't know Lauren, right? So I was like, man, she's a powerful speaker. And I listened to the whole thing, and then I immediately was like, oh, I ain't got a shot. And I said that because everybody that knows Lauren knows that she has a high intellectual level. That's just what it is. I too have a high intellectual level, but I lack the confidence. So in school where she did the dedication and she went through things and got the good grades, I could get the good grades, but I had to work harder, right? So I automatically put myself in this category. She ain't going, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? So, and that was as she said, that was my junk, right? My own junk. And the cool part was, what I know about me is very seldom do I get lost in conversation. I think I can talk to anybody. And that's not an arrogant thing, it's just a thing, right? So we never got lost in conversation. But to answer your point more directly, I tell people she never put me on the couch. She never, she's never been like, so Eric, when you blah, 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 what do you think? Well, I guess it was probably 5 years old. It was never that, never that. But I've learned so much by being around her, and the podcast that she's had, and the people and the guests. I've been like a sponge this whole time. She'll clown me now when I'll say something. And she's like, look at you. I said, well, I've been around you for the last 10, 11 years, right? So because she never said, well, you know what your problem is, blah, blah, blah. Now she'll do that jokingly, and then I'll clown her back. Okay, babe, what's wrong with me now? but
a winner.
Right? Oh my gosh. So I'll say this part. So just in getting to know each other, I was just telling her about my life. I said, man, I went out for Pop Warner football, I quit. Basketball, I played, I had to quit the team. Went to art school and I didn't finish. She says, oh, so you're a quitter. And what I love about my wife is she's direct in what she thinks, but she's also hilarious, right? So I'm like, I'm not a quitter. And then I started thinking, I am a quitter. So she'll pull me up in a way where I'll pay attention to it and then try to make the changes. So it's been a blessing in disguise.
That is really, really valuable. So there was something about him that made you feel that you could be vulnerable. This very accomplished, powerful, dynamic person makes the decision to be completely vulnerable with you, and it gives you a chance to really show up in your strength as the head, as a covering, to show the potential for that. Because at the time you all were dating, getting to know each other, and that
we hadn't even started dating yet, Myra. We were still in telephone conversations, and by that time, like maybe every blue moon would have a video call, but 99.9% of the communication was on the phone. It was several months later before we actually saw each other face to face.
Wow.
And he tried to kidnap me. He was like,
yeah, I was like, you're not leaving. I was trying not to see, but you're not leaving. But the thing of it is I realized I went to see her first in Jacksonville, and when I saw her, I said, okay, this is more than friendship. I'm in a weird situation now because I came down to support her in a video shoot that she was doing as her friend.
Mm-hmm.
But when I saw her, I was like, man, I realized where the true feelings were really beginning to happen. And then I didn't want to leave Jacksonville.
Right.
So we had been talking and developing a relationship, but hadn't really seen each other.
And we were friends.
Yeah. And then when I saw her,
I
I was
love
like,
that.
I was
And
like,
you,
yeah.
and it sounds like you took the time to really establish that,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Through conversation.
Yes.
So that takes me to something that I have not a lot of experience with, and that's online dating, right?
Okay.
Mhm.
And so there are a number of people, like that's kind of the standard, right? We
Mhm.
online date. And so I have a personal theory about that, right? Because I feel like once people get in the habit of scrolling,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
they automatically just start looking for the next best thing. It's like, well, if I can get this, then maybe there's something better.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, it can make it a little difficult to really establish a meaningful relationship with someone who's in that cycle of scrolling. It's like, well, are you really looking for a relationship to end that pattern? Or are you now just in the habit of swiping and you can't change it? So how much validity would you give to using online dating as a way to meet a person that you could
wanna answer that?
potentially spend your life with?
I'm
'Cause
gonna
I'll give you my answer after she
tell
Okay.
you, I'm biased. I hate online dating. I don't want anybody to sue me, so I'm not going to say any, platforms
Right.
particularly. But my issue with online dating is I think that it increases the ability for people to be inauthentic. I think
Correct.
that it creates an opportunity for people to mask who they really are. And as we hear in some of the horror stories that we see in these documentaries on Netflix and Prime, that it can go bad. It can be really, really,
Indeed.
really, really bad. And I believe in meeting people the old-fashioned way. I believe that, you can run into someone at the grocery store or, at the laundromat or, in church or wherever or at your best friend's wedding or reception or the get together for your goddaughter's birthday or whatever the case may be. I think that we're living in a society today that has depersonalized everything, including relationships. And I think that it's very, very dangerous, and it sets people up to start off wrong.
So
it's
and
deeply
this-
concerning for me.
Well, and this makes me really wonder about catfishing, because eventually, when you meet the person, they're going to see that you're 4'11",
Yeah.
which really burned me up, because when I
Wow.
moved to
Wow.
when I moved to Texas from Ohio about 6 years ago, and I never was an online dater. I really didn't. It's not my thing. I'd rather be in community with someone and observe them for a while and get to know them and have a common sense of purpose or people and form a relationship that way than online dating. And this man, listen to me. You all know this, so maybe I'm naive, but even in pictures where no one smiles or they're like every picture, I didn't know that meant their teeth was messed up. I didn't know that.
Okay.
So this man, on his profile, he said he was 6'5".
Oh.
He said in the angles of the pictures, he looked like a tall man with very large feet and hands. Interpret that how you will. So anyway, but when I drove from a small town to Dallas to meet this person, he shows up. He comes to my waist. He's like 4'11".
Oh my God.
Those teeth was going every direction, Dr. Pitts.
Oh God.
And then he says, I left my wallet. As soon as he said I left my wallet, I got back in that truck and I left. But it was so frustrating. I was like, I never want to go through this again. And I deleted my profile that day.
Yeah.
But I just was like, I don't want to meet someone that way. And there are people who have had successful relationships.
I know more who have had unsuccessful ones, but of course we don't know everybody. So
Correct.
good luck.
So I'd like to hear your take on this.
So I did meet someone online, and it was a Christian site.
Okay.
And she was a nice person. But things were kind of moving way faster than they should have been.
Okay.
And I ended up dating her for probably 3 or 4 months. And she really was a Christian. And the cool part was I was able to worship with a person that I was dating, which I had never done before. And I will say she was serious about her walk with Christ. But there were other things that just weren't measuring up. And I was like, it got to a point, she was kind of a little extra lippy.
Help
and
our friends with that. Yeah, say what those things were, because some of
little,
us need
she was
some
little,
help.
She was a little extra lippy. And I had gotten out of a 15-year relationship with a woman that, wow, how can I say this lightly? Didn't show a lot of respect to me. And I felt that coming on again. And when I broke up with her, I said, here's the problem. I literally just broke up with someone because of the way she was treating me. And you're reminding me of that. And we can be friends and it'll be cool, but know this, I don't have to deal with this.
Correct.
And that was it. I was done. And she's a wonderful person. Now, if you need somebody to pray, she will pray for you. She's a good person, but I was like, it's like she had a degree. I think it was a degree in accounting, but she was working in a warehouse. And she was, to me, living beyond her, under her means. I was like, why aren't you, and I didn't feel like I could motivate her to do any, you know what I mean? Like, I guess I was looking long term and I just, I didn't see it.
So this is a great question, because as you all continue to evolve, so what was the time frame between the reconnection, the conversations, you visited Dr. Pitts in Jackson? When did you know, okay, we are moving towards marriage, and in your case, another marriage?
Well, he'd never been married.
I had never been married.
You hadn't been married.
I did everything in
Okay.
reverse. I had the kids, the baby mamas, and then I just got married to Lauren today, 5 years ago. But so so you said how long? We actually were talking about marriage in Jacksonville.
Okay.
But it wasn't time yet. God let us know that it wasn't time yet.
Okay.
And I had made up my mind that I really didn't want to be married again. But one of my big sisters in Zion had come to visit, and we were just out and about, hanging out, going to get food, the whole 9 yards. And she said, sis, she said, I know you have said that you don't want to be married again. She said, but is that what the Holy Spirit is telling you? And she said, Eric may not be what you want, but he's what you need.
My goodness. And
And let me clarify that. I had, without realizing it, I had a type. And, I'm little. I'm 5'2", and, up until more recently, was really, really, really petite, like 130 pounds, tiny. And big men, whether they be tall or muscular, big or whatever, big men tend to gravitate to me. And I tell folk, I didn't say no, right? But people were accustomed to seeing me with, as my mom put it, with men that look like they've been lifting weights since they were 11, right? And dealing with alphas and just very domineering presence, right? And Eric is just very laid back and chill. And what wasn't clear to me for many, many years is that the couple of relationships that I had that honored who's sitting here before you today, I self-sabotaged those. And that would be the young man that I dated all throughout high school, always treated me with decency and respect. There was never any drama or mess or anything with him. And then my son's father, I blew that relationship. I take full responsibility and accountability for the fact that I treated him horribly, and I didn't think that I deserved someone of his caliber to love me the way that he did at that time. So I did everything and anything that I could possibly do to destroy that relationship. So my relationships were all very, very toxic. And then when I finally got to a point where my therapy, because I started therapy at 18 years old, where my therapy was really making a difference, and I was starting to heal and to evolve and really begin that transformation into the young woman that God purposed me to be, how I viewed things and people started to shift, right? And my first husband, who's now deceased, I tell people we were the Black version of Forrest and Jenny.
Wow.
You know, our history went all the way back to we were toddlers. You know, we had known each other our whole life, and how I got drawn into that relationship, and I'm teasing this out because it's relevant and people need to understand, how do you get drawn in? So having experienced an exorbitant amount of abuse from various sources growing up, he, my first husband, I always felt safe with him. And he knew my secrets. He knew who was doing what to me and when. And I only ever felt safe with him. And his mom used to say, she used to laugh and say that the connection that he and I had was sick. But she would laugh because she was like, she had never seen two little kids joined at the hip like he and I were. You know, we go on to high school, I'm dating someone, he's dating someone else. And the love and the connection was always there. And we kept sort of circling back to each other in varying times in our life. And similarly, I had lost touch with him for a while, and then he resurfaced. And we were now adults. And, you know, he had been dealing with a history of substance use and abuse, and had just been having a really rough time in life. But it was at that point in time that I was led to believe that he was sober. And for a good portion of the time he was. And it really was a whirlwind. You know, he came back into my life in February, and in August we got married. And it was a whirlwind, several-year relationship that subjected me to an exorbitant amount of intimate partner violence, and just a lot. It was a lot, you know, and I tell people, outside of drugs and alcohol, he was one of the most amazing individuals that you could ever possibly meet, you know. Eric knew him. We all grew up together, and he was someone that was held in very high regard by people who knew him, but he never got that monster off his back. And he subsequently died from complications of a drug and alcohol overdose 2 days after I was hooded with my doctorate.
Wow.
So as I said in the beginning, I was going through a lot. I was going through just an exorbitant amount of grief and loss, and dealing with something that had happened in another relationship. Like, I was going through it.
Yes.
I was going through it, and just trying to manage all of that, all the while dealing with major health crises. It just, you know, we were laughing yesterday and again this morning that it's 5 years, but it feels like 35, 25, 45
That's why
years.
When you said that, that's what I
Yeah.
was thinking.
Because we've been through so much, literally from day one. He has literally saved my life 3 times.
Wow.
Yeah. So a long-winded answer, but very, very relevant. So the level of safety that I have felt with him from the very beginning is what drew me in.
And that really helps you understand what's needed in this relationship, because whereas you're thinking about maybe pedigree, degrees, maybe financial or what have you, what she really needs safety, which was huge, right? Emotional safety, physical safety. That's just amazing. And so obviously God has done a work here, which is
Yeah.
huge. And I have so many questions about, obviously you all took some time so you could develop that safety and through communication and it not moving to a physical place quickly. It's like you would need that foundation.
Yeah, it was years of building.
Yeah.
And at one point I had even said to him, before I mess you over, I'll leave you alone. So there was a point in time where I had unfinished business. I had baggage that I needed to get off my luggage cart of life. I needed closure in some areas of my life, and my commitment to him was and will always be that I don't ever want to be the source of your pain. And I knew that breaking up with him was going to hurt him, but I knew that if I didn't get myself together, that it was going to hurt him even more. And I'll let him tell you what happened when I broke up with him, because if it wasn't for his obedience, we wouldn't be sitting here.
Oh, this is
today.
good. Yes, please share, Eric. Tell us more.
So the amazing thing is the journey of love is not an easy one. And she's right. Everything she said is true. She said that, even though it was hard to hear, I'm like, what are you talking about? Before I cheat on you, I'll break up, or, and although respectful, because other women did cheat, right? I cheated too. But the level of maturity is saying this is what it is. Now you may not want to hear it, but this is what it is. And then when that happened, I was like, ooh, well, she did say, right? So on the one end, I couldn't be angry, but it didn't stop the hurt. It was going to be hurtful either way.
Yes.
So the hurt was like, because the timing was horrible, right? We both moved back to New Jersey from Jacksonville. We had to make that transition. So I am now in the home that I grew up in, almost 50. And she moved back to her mom's house. And I'm like, okay. And it seemed like everything was just happening all at once. Like, okay, I'm back here and I don't want to be here. What I realized, and God checked me on this, is I made her my God. I was going through depression. She didn't realize it. She did, but she thought I was being like defeated and blah, blah, blah. It was beyond being defeated. It was a level of the narrative of my life is not going to change. I lost my car. I'm back here at my dad's house. I got to the job I'm having, I'm making no money. My kid's mom is taking me to court for child support. It was everything all at once. And then she says, hey, I'm out. And I remember when she called me, I'll never forget, I'm in a car and I'm driving. She doesn't know this. This is probably the first time that she hear me say this. I'm driving in the car and I'm like, I hung up. And I said, now? Right now? Like, you're gonna do this right now? And I remember I was so angry, I just hit the roof like 3 times. And I was like, oh. But God was like, I got you though. I had to separate you because you're doing this out of order. She's not the one, she's not your source.
My goodness.
You're making her your source. So I gotta do what you can't do. And that's walk away. And like she said, she had unfinished business. And I tell you, Myra, in those times is where I grew the most, because I couldn't call her. I couldn't see her every Sunday like we did. And I was forced to deal with my feelings, my emotions, and my relationship with God. And there were tears, there were shed, because I was like, God, I don't understand this.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And in all of that, in all that time, the Holy Spirit said, no man can take what's yours. Relax.
That's a word.
No man can take what's yours.
Put that up on the screen.
And listen, once I got that revelation, I was like, okay.
Yes, what's for you is for you.
Yeah, what's for it's however this is going to go. But what's for you is for you. basically, if I had to say, if the Holy Spirit was one of us,
Yes.
stop tripping,
Stop tripping.
chill, you know.
It
and
takes the pressure off. You could breathe a little
yes,
bit.
yes. So I grew. I was growing in those moments of just me reflecting and me, you know, all the things that you go through. But here's the funny part, and she'll share this. She kept calling me. She never stopped calling me.
You were like women.
Right, because I, you know, and it was hard. You know, you look at your phone, you're like, I'm not gonna text her. I'm not gonna call her, and I didn't. And she'll tell you, I wasn't blowing her phone up and blah blah blah. I might have had a couple of stalking moments that she don't know about, but for the most part, I really did try to, you know, to relax. So the thing of it is God was building me. He was building me. He was said, okay, in Jacksonville you weren't ready, right? Mm-hmm. You're back in Jersey and you're still not ready.
Okay.
So how can you be her husband and you're not ready? Right? And it's not even about the financial piece yet.
Okay.
It's about the godly man. How can you be her head and her cover, which, oh, by the way, I was never taught what the priest of my home looked like or felt like. So how can you do all that and you clinging on to her? You idol worshiping, right? And I'm like, okay. So she did me a favor. Mm-hmm. She did me a favor by her getting her, because I don't want to be married to somebody that ain't, you know.
Right.
I'm still thinking about John and them, you know. I don't look. Then go to John and them. We have a joke. I told her if she was going to move to Atlanta, because I used to joke, I said, I'll follow you everywhere, but I ain't following you to Atlanta. And I was so serious about that. But I say all that to say it was a growing process for me, and it had to happen that way.
So let's talk a little bit about what being ready means, because we're all a work in progress, right? And so there's this thing, right, where it's like, you know, a lot of single women, I'll just use women because I can't speak for men, but they have this checklist, right? And the man that's for me is going to make this much money, and they're going to do this, and they're going to have this and this many kids. And the thing is, there's only a certain percentage of Black men, if that's your demographic, who are going to meet their criteria. And depending on where you are in the country geographically or wherever, your likelihood of meeting that is very small. So talk to us a little bit about what being ready means, because I'm sure that's different for each person.
So I'm going to give this to you in a clinical context.
Okay.
Being ready relationally is having a level of wholeness and healthy relationship, strong sense of self, high differentiation of self within oneself, where you're not looking for someone to make you whole. You're not looking for external validation. You know, and I say this jokingly, but I'm dead serious. I think I'm all that, the soda, the rebate, and the bag of darn chips. I walk in the fullness of who God has purposed me to be each and every day of my life. If he never paid me a compliment, I still have confidence and assurance in who God has called Lauren Denise Pitts Bounds to be. So I don't need him to validate me. I don't need him to affirm me. I don't need him to clap for me and to celebrate me and to do all of those things. He does those things because he loves me and respects me and values me and appreciates me. But my wholeness is not predicated upon him doing those things.
Wow.
So, you know, and I talk to him about this all the time, how heartbreaking it is to see so many women, period, but particularly Black women that are navigating life in this wounded state where they are hemorrhaging all over themselves and the men that they're penalizing and punishing for the unfinished business that they have with their parents and the unfinished business that they had with the 5 guys that they were dealing with before they got to him.
My goodness.
You have to be willing to do the individual psychological and spiritual self-work in order to be ready. Because if you go into the next relationship carrying the baggage from the previous relationship, the person that you're with that didn't do it He didn't contribute to your pain,
Right.
but you're treating him as if he did. And that vicious cycle has got to stop. The one thing that people fail to recognize that keeps them unready for healthy, fulfilling, and sustainable relationships is they forget they're the common denominator in every relationship.
Come on now. Yes.
And as that common denominator, you are the number one reason why you keep finding yourself in broken and conflictual relationships.
Come on.
They're due to your own personal deficiencies. Stop coming into therapy, Dr. Pitts. Everybody I've ever been with has cheated on me. Because Dr. Pitts is going to say, well, what's wrong with you, boo-boo?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about what's wrong with you.
Right.
Let's take the focus off of him. You want to scapegoat and placate and do all these things and blame.
Yes.
Project and transfer all of your unhappiness and all of the problems in the relationship and he's this, that, and the other. But you picked him?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Why you mad? Why you kicking his back in? Why you keeping his kids from him?
Right.
You picked him. What's wrong with you?
I think she heard you.
What's wrong with you?
Clock it, Dr. Pitts.
What's wrong
Clock
with
it.
you? Look in the mirror.
Yes. Yes.
And be honest with the reflection looking back at you.
Yes.
You're not ready.
Mm.
When you are mature enough,
Mm-hmm.
responsible enough, accountable
Oh, that's
enough,
good.
and honest enough to do the work that you need to do on you,
Mm.
and you take those rose-colored fantasy real glasses off,
Yes.
Right.
then you might be ready.
Oh, that's good.
You might be ready.
So Eric, how did you know you were ready?
Wow, that's a really good question. I really wanted to kind of piggyback off what she was saying, or actually your question in the beginning of the IBM, the Ideal Black Man? And the first question is, do women even meet those categories?
Ooh, baby, that's good.
Do
that's
you
good, baby.
even meet your checklist that you want me to be?
Come on now. Talk
Like I
about
gotta
it.
be 6'5", and I gotta be this, and I gotta be that, and I gotta go to the gym, and better do this, and I gotta be a man of God, and I gotta lay it down in the bedroom, and
Right.
all these things, right? Well, what about you? Are you even on that list? Maybe you working in McDonald's or Walmart, but I need to make 6 figures. So it's a distortion to her point. Like we gotta get to a point of commonality, and we have to understand, like she said, you can't go in broken.
Mm-hmm.
2 broken people does not help the
It does
relationship.
not
make.
help. Correct.
And going back in my relationships in my life, it was confidence for me. It was, and it's funny because as I look back, I was a younger kid, this would be funny, and hopefully it's relevant. But I grew up, everything that was ever said to me racial was from my own people. So I've never, you would think, oh, did anybody tell you this or call you that? No. It was black, you're too dark.
Mm-hmm.
So the confidence started when I was a kid and talking to girls because I was too dark. Or as if it wasn't I was too dark, I was too nice.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to say, too nice? Yeah, well, Eric's cool, but he's too nice. So then that eliminated me from, right? And then it's like my relationship with my father and blah, 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 blah. And there was no confidence instilled there. It was very rocky, very, So, and I stayed with my dad from age 8 through high school. And that was my choice, by the way. Mom, it was my choice. and so with that, there really wasn't a whole lot of building. And so now it's like, okay, so now you're gonna get into a relationship or you're gonna do this. So I really clung, I was clingy in relationships because that was I just want what's mine. I need something that's mine.
And if you had connected with someone with codependency issues, that would have been a recipe for disaster.
100%. Yeah, so, and the first girl that I dated set me straight on really what it's all about. Like, I'm gonna show you you don't know the game yet, but I'm about to teach you. You finna learn. Because I'm a professional. You don't know that yet. So, you go through the heartbreak and all those things. But as far as being ready or when that time came, it was more or less being away from her. That whole part where I told you we weren't together was Eric becoming who God wanted me to be. not who I thought I should be. And that was like, if you depend on me, I got you.
Okay.
But right now, you depending on her. You waiting for Sunday to come up. I'm gonna be super duper transparent. The depression that I was going through at the time when I was back at my father's house was, I knew it started creeping in real slow. It went to, and she knows I always keep my car clean. I could care less. It wasn't dirty, but like the inside was like, I probably vacuumed my car more than most, but I didn't care. Car got repossessed. Washing clothes. She clowns me. I wash clothes all the time.
Addicted to laundry.
I had laundry bags full of clothes. Didn't wash them. Taking a shower. Whatever. I don't have to go to work today. I'll stay in bed. The job that I had, I'd work 4 days on and 3 days off. If I was off for 3 days, I'd be in bed for 3 days. Yeah. And I lost a whole lot of weight. I was down to like 205.
Wow.
She would clown me about my clothes because I was still wearing my big clothes. I was down, I lost a whole lot of weight. And so I say all that to say it was that transformation. And my mom was the one that talked me off the ledge. I called her one day and said, Mom, I don't want to be here anymore.
Wow.
Now, mind you, I have 2 small kids and I have an older son. And I was like, Mom, I don't. And she didn't. What made it good for me is she related. She said, son, I understand how you feel, but please don't do it. And because we'd already buried my brother years ago, I couldn't do that to her. So I made it less about me and start more thinking about the people that would be hurting. My children, my mother, you know what I mean? And it's funny, I wasn't even thinking about Lauren at that time. I said, she doing her thing. You know what I mean? So I was, it just, again, I didn't need any doctor's visits. I didn't need any medication. God brought me through all of it.
Wow.
He brought me through all of it.
So you come back together, you're working on you.
Yeah.
You're, working on you. And so, I'm kind of going to still stick on this a little bit because I would imagine, correct me if I'm wrong, when you all finally got married, was everything pristine, shiny, and you all go off into the sunset? You're, making 6 figures. You're now Dr. Lauren Pitts Bounds, and you go move into a big house in Frisco. Is that what happened?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely no. Absolutely not.
Thank you for setting me straight.
Absolutely not.
So you start this journey. So tell us more for those of us who are really like, we're thinking perfection. We're thinking,
oh God, no.
So some of us who are like, the worthiness issue is real.
Right.
Because there are some of us, and I'll speak for myself, where it's like, I don't know if I'll ever be ready because I'm hyper focused on my flaws, or this is what I need to fix now, and I have to fix this. Certainly God can pair me with someone because I've got to get this together, and now I'm getting older and my cellulite looks a certain way, and I want to make sure that I have no debt. And so some of us it's the opposite end where we don't feel worthy at all.
Wow.
Tell us about.
So that day will never come.
Thanks. Say that aloud for the people in the back.
That day will never come.
Okay, it'll never come.
When you say, when I lose this, when I get this, when I become this, and who's going to love me for this, I'm going to tell you right now, the man that, and pray specifically, what I learned, for what you want in your husband. Not the ideal black man, but the godly man that God had predestined to be your husband. Pray that way. And he is going to love everything about you. Am I lying?
I want to touch on that spiritually, and I want to touch on that clinically, because it's not about what you want, it's about what you need.
Come on.
And because we live in this global society that is superficial in so many ways, that's the mistake that so many couples find themselves in. Right? Remember, I said, my big sister in Zion said, he may not be what you want, but he's what you need. And in those previous relationships, even the ones that I self-sabotaged, it was all about my wants, I wasn't mature enough or responsible enough, and I was always an old soul. My mom jokes and clowns people that I came out the womb grown, and I say the same thing about my son, right? But relationally, I wasn't mature enough to understand that this is not about what Lauren wants, it's about what Lauren needs. And to your point, when you said before, and we were talking before we went, started recording, is that you have to be willing to compromise, right? So the call that's on Eric's life is not the same call that's on my life, but we have a responsibility and we've committed to support each other in walking in the fullness of the call that God has on our lives, and we're aware of that, right? People get so caught up in the fantasy. Like it's never there. I tell people, erase the word perfect and perfection from your vocabulary. Pursue greatness and excellence, pursue health. People miss the fact that you can be flawed and healthy.
Oh, I love
You can
that.
be flawed and healthy.
Put that up on the screen. You can be flawed and healthy.
Yes. And here's the beauty. Relationships can be healing agents for you. Right. It's going to require each person to be as intentional as possible about not being the source of the other person's pain.
Oh, that's good.
It doesn't mean that you're going to always hit the bullseye because we're human, right? So there may be times that I might say something that hurt his feelings or vice versa, but it's not intentional. Neither one of us wakes up in the morning, pulls out a tablet or our phone and writes down all the ways that we're going to belittle, degrade, disrespect, or demean, or intentionally hurt each other. We don't do that. That's why it's healthy.
Amen.
That's why it's healthy. It's healthy because Lauren wakes up every day. Once I dotted the I's and crossed the T's where that unfinished business was concerned, I was more committed than ever before of waking up every day being pleasing and acceptable to God. And He reaps the benefits of that. People have said far too much as far as we're concerned. You know, they want Him to be offended by that statement. Because I say, you know, I don't not cheat on him because I don't want to cheat. I don't call him out his name just because it never. I don't mistreat him. I don't abuse and neglect him and handle him foul because I love him so much. Though I do. First and foremost, I want to be pleasing and acceptable to God. And my heart's desire to be pleasing and acceptable to God strengthens me in my ability to respect, honor, and value Him, even when I'm annoyed at Him, even when I'm frustrated with Him, even when I could just shake his neck or punch him. But God. Yes. And that's the piece that people are, and I get everybody doesn't have I believe, everybody doesn't have a spiritual foundation. They feel like it don't take all that or whatever. That's cool. That's y'all's formula. Yeah. Our formula is a threefold cord is not easily broken. And it keeps this relationship healthy and sound and all day, every day. Through the turbulent times, through the calm times, we go through things just like everybody else. But we choose to not act crazy to each other. We choose to not disrespect each other. He's never called me out my name. I've never called him out his name. We just don't act crazy to each other. We just don't. And we've been upset with each other.
Yeah, she's got a question.
I was going to say, so give us those fundamental, healthy tactics, practices that can help for those who are in a relationship and they're like, we in this thing now, but we want to strengthen it. We want it to be healthy. What are the things that we should, and I know I hesitate to use the word always and never, but I'm sure there are some fundamental things that these are things you don't do, or these are things you do to have a healthy relationship.
So the good thing about our relationship is that from the door we talked about our past, and from the door we talked about what she calls non-negotiables, right? Like, don't do this. Here are my non-negotiables, hers and mine, right? So, like she said, we agreed that we weren't going to come at each other crazy. Now, do we have loud conversations? Sure, but they're not arguments. And I don't say nothing about her mama. You know what I mean?
Okay, that's good.
That's
good.
Because,
don't do that.
Like
right? Because people.
Them areas that'll get you swung on.
Yeah, so we don't, and like you said, she said me calling out her name. I wouldn't even think of that. Wouldn't even, But what I like about it is learning your partner, paying attention. So what she does with me when I get out of pocket, and she'll just say, "I'm not doing this with you," and she'll walk away. So you can't argue by yourself.
That's true.
Or if I'm having a cranky Snickers moment, I call it.
Angry.
I'll just be like, oh boy. That's now my indicator that I overstepped. And then she's an easy read. right? It's all over her face. So I'm like, babe, what's wrong with you? You know, and either she'll say what it is or, you know, she's having a moment, but later on she's like, yeah, you was right. I was this, that, and the third. So I think if you learn what your partner is doing, then you won't push the button. Like if she's already pissed off, now sometimes I do, but in most cases, if she's and I know that she is in a space, I'm not going to exacerbate it.
And it sounds like you recover quickly.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
Yes.
I don't stay in mess.
I was thinking about, you know, and speak to the people, those of us who have said something hurtful, right? Where we did not have our greatest moment and we had an argument and I did say your mama. Okay, let's just say that happened. Let's just say that happened. Help us get beyond the hurt, because there are some people who are like, I really feel like we have a greater purpose. I really believe that we're bigger than this moment, but we have said things that are hurtful. Help the person who is who really wants to lose that resentment. I want to move forward with you. You did hurt me. How do we rebuild that trust and move beyond those hurtful moments?
Can I give her the male perspective? Can I give her?
Sure, go ahead.
Yes, please.
So it's always better to have a conversation when you're not angry. Those things will tend not to come out if you're not in that space of, you know what I mean? And some of our best conversations have been when we've both given each other time to calm down. And that's normally 2:00 in the morning.
He said I'm the 2:00 in the morning queen when it comes to conversation.
This
You know,
is
babe,
so interesting.
I was thinking,
this is
it's
good.
2:00.
Oh,
You know, but I'm joking about that part. But however it comes where you're not really frustrated, then you can stay on task on what the issue really is.
That's true.
Right? Because if you're no longer mad about whatever he did or whatever he picking up his clothes or
Yes.
whatever it is, it's little things that become big.
True.
Then you can have a healthy conversation. You be like, you know what? Or even joke about what happened. You know what? You was tripping earlier. What, you know what I'm saying? It's that type of thing. When you're not as angry, you can have those types of conversations.
That's
Do you
great.
agree?
Yeah, and I want to add to that because we use humor. Like because it breaks the ice, right? It's like I refuse to stay stuck. I don't sit in my ick. He has often said that I am by far one of the most forgiving and consistent people that he knows. I just don't stay in ick. I love being happy. I love being joyous. I love being at peace.
Yeah.
I love being in a good and healthy place and space. And a big part of that is because of the nature of my work. I listen to other people's problems all day, every day. So I'm not interested in walking around being miserable and taking everything personal.
Yes.
Even though something, like you said, the mama comment, right? Even though something was said out of pocket, I get to decide if I'm going to take that personal and hold on to it and beat you over the head with it, right? Because, and this is what I say to my couples, and this is what I say to our audience. It goes back to what I said a few minutes ago. Eric doesn't wake up in the morning pulling out his phone or a checklist of all of the different ways that he's going to hurt me or offend me or whatever the case may be. So I get to choose in that moment, am I going to take that personal and make that a great big thing and not speak for days and sleeping in different rooms and all that foolishness? I don't get down like that.
Yeah.
I do not get down like that. When we were living in Jacksonville, I don't even remember what happened, but he got up and got out of bed and went into our guest bedroom. I got my heavy behind up. I went to that guest bedroom. I stood in the door. I said, we're not doing this. We're not doing this.
That's good.
This opens the door. Yes, we were shacking, so there was some repentance that needed to happen there, but there was, and I'm not even going to but there were extenuating circumstances why we were living underneath the same roof, because that's not something that I was ever big on, and my parents had a whole fit. But anyway, I said, we're not doing this because this opens the door. I was raised, don't let the sun go down on your wrath.
Correct.
I'm never so mad about something that we can't talk it through and out, which leads me to my next set of tips. Be an adult.
Right.
Be an adult. Can everybody just grow up? Grow up. Stop coming into these disagreements and these problems as your wounded inner child and thinking that this is going to bring resolution. It's not. And what I say to my couples during couples therapy is, so is this your adult selves communicating or is this your wounded inner children? Because I'm not a referee. And if this is what it's going to be, I stopped working with children in October of 2021.
Wow.
I only want to work with adults. My other clinicians on Legacy's team can work with the children.
Wow.
If you want to work with Dr. Pitts, you have to bring your adult self into this room.
Oh, that's
and you
good.
have to bring your adult self into conflict and problems in your relationship. I can't tell you because I don't sugarcoat nothing in therapy.
Can you tell?
Look at here. Look at here. Are we on the playground during recess in 5th grade? Because this is what y'all got going on right now.
Oh, that's
What are we doing?
Right.
Grow up.
Yeah.
Grow up.
Right.
Rule number 1. Number 2, you have to forgive. And I'm going to tie it to what used to we're discussing a few moments ago, where people are so full of themselves. People are so grandiose and narcissistic and self-righteous and holier than thou that they have the audacity
My God.
to hold their partner to a standard of conduct that they themselves cannot live up to.
That God
Who the
doesn't even
fatal
hold us up
fire
to.
do you think you are?
Yes.
Right.
Stop pointing the finger and look in the mirror.
Yes.
Look in the mirror.
That's good.
Yeah.
Take responsibility and accountability for your contribution to the relationship discord. It's not the other person. How did you respond? He's not joking when he said, if something, I'm not doing, girl, he got an evil twin. He got an evil twin.
We both do.
And my evil twin is Paulette. That's my mama. Well, let me correct. My evil twin is Lorraine, but my sister says my inner Paulette is coming out because my mom can, she fire.
Mhm.
She's fire.
Mine too. Mine is TT.
You know, she can come out, but she warn people before she do stuff to them. But for real, okay, we about to pack your bags. We ain't coming back for a minute. You wanted to take this trip. But in all seriousness, though, I tell folks, you've got to be your adult self in your adult relationship. If you're going to harbor hatred, bitterness, resentment, and unforgiveness, Dr. Pitt's going to say, well, if that's love, what would it look like if you hated each other?
My God. That's good. That's good.
Right.
You got to grow up. You got to forgive. If you're not going to forgive, move on. And go ruin your next relationship and your next one and your next one and your next one. Because the word of God that I read says, if you don't forgive, you have made it impossible for God to forgive you. I've done enough stuff in my life that I would be brazen to not forgive.
Wow.
I choose to forgive quickly and move on and trust. I've had folks say and do some stuff to me that the old Lauren.
Right. Put them up.
But God.
But God.
And folks, that's the easy part, right? People say it's hard, but the relationship becomes so much easier to navigate when you choose to be an adult, when you choose to take responsibility and accountability for your junk.
Right.
When you choose to forgive, when you choose to, I can't stand petty. Oh, Lord have mercy. I don't have a petty bone in my body. I can pull from it though. I can pull from a reservoir of pettiness because I got folk connected to me. They'll be like, "Oh, you want me to give you some petty tips?"
Right.
But that's going to sabotage your relationship.
Correct. It's a waste of time.
The resentment, the bitterness, the unforgiveness, the drag nastiness that my uncle used to talk about. All those things are relationship saboteurs. If you want a healthy relationship, how about you be healthy?
Ooh. Yes. That's good. Put that up on the screen. If you want a healthy relationship, you have to be healthy.
Yeah.
So we need a part 2. Okay, because this is amazing conversation. I know you all are getting something out of it. So you need to definitely hit like, share, subscribe, send this to all of your family members and friends because this is so meaningful. I have so many more questions, but we need a part 2 because this is just so good. But I want to end this one congratulating you for 5 wonderful years. Thank you for your vulnerability. Thank you for every time you've forgiven him. Thank you for every time you've listened and been there for her, and that you two have devoted your lives to being a blessing to all of us.
Amen.
And being willing to share that, that is true ministry, and which is just another fancy word for service,
Yeah.
servanthood,
That part.
right?
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Dr.
you.
Lauren, for this opportunity. Eric, it's
Yes.
so nice to meet
Same
you.
here. Same here. Same here.
And we've got to do a part 2. I
Okay.
love this. Thank you guys so much for allowing me to come into your space and welcoming me as a new person
Yes.
to this beautiful community.
Yes.
Thank you again. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
There it is.